Hi, can you confirm? Yeah. Hi everyone. Can you please confirm you can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So I just want to put this out there before we start. So this meeting is virtual, and I want this to be as interactive as it can be. So if at any point in time my audio isn't clear or you can't see my screen, please immediately use the chat box to inform me so you can do something about it. Don't wait in the end of the lesson to now start saying, oh, I couldn't hear you throughout the session because your audio was this or your audio was that. Okay, so before we proceed into like the week 2, I want us to do like a quick revision of everything we did, a brief recap on everything we did last week. So last week was about US design system, persona, wireframe survey. We touched a lot last week regarding US and what makes our favorite apps. A quick one, you can use the chat box. If you attended last week's section, just use the chat box and say me and type me. So if you were here for last week's session, just type me. If you weren't, no problem. We're going to be doing a brief recap so you can catch up with us before we move into week 2. Okay, so okay, thank you. So for everyone that said me, so you can unmute to answer this one if you know the answer. So what does US stand for? What does US stand for? You can raise your hand or unmute your mic. What does US stand for? Okay, it stands for user experience. Is Mercy the only one that knows the answer? So like we said last week, US stands for user experience and UI stands for user's interface. So also, who remembers what a persona is? We spoke a lot on what persona is and we kept hovering around and around on what a persona is. So you can use the chat box or preferably unmute your mic, tell us what a persona is or what you remember a persona being. So I'm waiting for our response. Who remembers what a persona is? No worries. Okay, so I'm just going to go over it. A persona is a fictional character that represents our target audience. So we know through the survey, we already identified who will be using our product. So depending on whatever you are building, and like the example I used last week, about you building a student app. So we know in this case, the target audience or people that will be using that app are students. So your persona should mimic the life of a student, or maybe someone that has to balance part-time work with like study, go for evening sessions, do this and do that. So whoever your persona is should mimic the life of whoever will be using that. So you'll be able to tell, so you can know exactly what to design for them. So if, for example, you can design an app that requires a lot of technology efficiency for millennials. Obviously, you know that when it comes to like technology efficiency, it's not as high as those for Gen Z. So imagine designing an app that requires a lot of technical efficiency for millennials. That's definitely a mismatch. But let's say in a case where we have a persona, now a persona is telling us that, oh, this grammar that we want to design for does not even know how to use, ChatGPT or WhatsApp, for example. So everything needs to be simple. It needs to be something that even grammar without any knowledge of technology or I can still use it effectively. So that's basically what a persona does, and how it helps us in our design process. So to recap on everything we spoke about last week we focused on understanding users, how product designers think, research problems, and design with people in mind. We talked about survey, persona, wireframing, and design systems. So today we'll be talking about UI and visual system. So we've identified the problem last week, and we've identified the problem last week. How do we understand our users? This week, it is now how do we build those ideas visually? So now we know that, if we're designing something for a grammar, we have to make sure that it's something that is very simple to use, something you don't need a toolkit or a manual to be able to use. So now, how do we make sure that whatever we are designing actually fits that? So that is everything we'll be discussing about today. Sure. Okay. So who knows what a Figma is? Adibulai, please mute your mic. The first thing on our list today is Figma. So as anybody at some point in time heard of Figma, or you've used Figma, or you've had someone say Figma, or maybe you've never heard about it before, you can make use of the chat box. Are you familiar with Figma, or you just heard about it once in passing, or you don't even know what it is? Like, this is your first time, this is very, very new to you. You can use the chat box to respond. Okay, so I'm waiting for you guys. I hope you can hear me. Okay, so what I'm saying is, today, the first thing we'll be talking about is Figma. So, can you tell me, like, are you familiar with Figma, or this is your first time hearing of Figma? You don't know anything about it, or maybe at some point in time you've used it, or maybe you just have people talking about, oh, Figma, but you don't know what it is. You can use the chat box to reply. I'm waiting for all your responses. Okay, so it's a software for digital wireframe creation. Okay, so I'm not asking you what Figma is. I am asking you, has there been any time you've used Figma? Are you familiar with Figma, or this is your first time hearing of Figma? Okay, you've heard of it before. And so we can just know. So Figma is a collaborative, but you don't know the name. Okay, so Figma is a collaborative web application for interface design. So it is where wireframes become real products. Think how Microsoft Word or Google Docs is where you design your documents and your PDF files and every other thing. Figma is where you bring your visions to life, your design visions to life. So you can, instead of talking, let me simply just show you what Figma is. So basically, I hope you can see my screen very well. This is what Figma looks like. So when you go to your figma.com and you logged in or sign up, this is what Figma looks like. You can do so many things in Figma. When you come here, you can see the design, FigJam, slides, make, and many more. You can do so many things in design. You can even say, you can ask the AI to design something very nice for you, and to do that. But today we'll be talking about the design part. UI. So I think I have what open here. So when you open your design, exactly, this is what we have here. This is what we have here. We have the name of our file. Let me rename it to something very nice. So we have the name of our file here. We have pages that we've opened and layers. You're going to see what layers look like. So we have tools that we use. This is the move tool, the one I'm able to use to move my cursor. This is it. We have the frames. The frames. Frames basically make sure that help guide our design process to make sure that we are not overstepping our boundaries. So you don't want to design a mobile app that is meant for mobile phone and use a desktop. So when you want to design for mobile app, for example, you come here and choose the specific whatever mobile app you want to use. In this case, let's practice with iPhone 17. So we have our iPhone. So we have our iPhone 7. Okay, I mentioned Hypermini by mistake. So let's come here, iPhone 17. So this is our iPhone 17. Let me zoom in a bit. I hope you can see my screen. So imagine you want to design for mobile app, like I said, and you come here and choose, and you're using MacBook Air, for example. Do you see the difference, the jarring difference in sizes? So now after putting your button and every other thing, you now realize that, oh, wait, I'm supposed to be designing for mobile, not maybe landing page or MacBook Air or whatever this thing you are using. And now it's like too late for you to like go back, because whatever size is here will not size here, obviously. So frames guide our design decision to make sure, and also alignment to make sure we are not designing for the wrong thing by mistake. I think I should just make it. So when we move forward, we have our rectangles or shapes. We have rectangle, we have line, we have arrow, we have eclipse. This is how our arrow looks like. I can even take it a step further and design your arrow. This is my favorite type of arrow. I can give it a weight of 5. And now my arrow looks thicker, depends on whatever I want to use it for. Or ellipse or polygon or star, or simply when you want to bring in your image or video from your file to whatever you are using. Then we have our pen and pencil, basically to draw. We have the text, when you want to put text here. Then we have comments. Comments is really helpful when you are collaborating with different people. Figma, instead of having to share different files, like design this now, send to my email, send to another person, the person makes whatever changes they want, send it to this way, send to email, send it back to me. Figma makes it very easy for you. You can simply just share with somebody. I can share with you from wherever you are, and we'll both work on everything in this place together, depending on what permission I give you. I can say you can only view, I can say you can edit, or I can say you should require a password before you can access whatever is there. So whatever permission I give you, it means you have access to whatever I'm doing here, wherever you are. Even if you're in London, you have access to everything I'm doing in Lagos. And you can also make changes to it. So comments really helps you. Let's say, for example, we are both working on something together, and I move rectangle from wherever it is. Let me move to my move tool. I move rectangle from wherever it is. I move it from here to here. So now I can use the comment tool, so you don't, and tell you, oh, I moved the rectangle because of this or that, or maybe because it helps its alignment, or it's just better being up than being down. And I can send it to you. And from the end, you can simply respond. And now we have like a whole chat here where we can both make sure that we are very aligned on whatever we are doing. And you can even have video call on here, but then I don't have anybody in here, so we will test that another day. So we have the resource hub, we have our plugins and widgets, we have our assets. I'm sorry, please give me a minute. So we have our resource hub here. So you can search for anything you want. When it comes to plugins and widgets, let's say maybe you want one very fine icon. You can simply come here and search for icon, and you find different from where you actually I can start to use Icons 8, Icon Scout, Icon Hub, Microsoft French. I can use anything, or even Iconify. For example, I'm looking for something that can convert my PDF. Let's say, oh, I mistakenly saved my image as PDF instead of image. So I don't want to screenshot because I don't want to mess up the resolution. I can simply search for PDF here. Now I can find something that help me. Please, can you hear me? Can anybody confirm they can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So I can just find something here that can help me convert whatever PDF I have to my design and import it here to whatever I'm working on in my Figma workspace. So so many other things you can search here. So when you're done designing, let's say when you're working out there with different development team, and now you're done designing this particular screen, you can simply mark it developer ready. Now the developer gets the alert on his email that tells him, oh, there is a screen ready for him to now design, replicate, and bring to life. Basically, I can make use of the Figma to design it. We have the Figma developer this year, so you can just make use of the AI to also on the right hand side of the workspace. When you click on a screen, you can edit whatever you want there. I can click on this and change the alignment. Oh, I want it to be centralized. No, I want it to be vertical. Whatever alignment I want it to be. I can come here and mess up with the dimensions. So, I think you be 10, be 20. So now my rectangle looks like this. So change it. So really, you can do a lot of this and lots more. Yeah, I can say breaking. Oh, sorry. If I'm very clear now. Is it now? Elizabeth. Okay, so I can come here and change the corner radius because I want it to have a bit of like some curved edges and say it's 20. So you can make this kind of edits and more in Figma. Just click on whatever tools you want. I can see how you can change. I can say, oh, I don't like white. How about I change to red instead? Oh no, I don't want it to just be bland. How about I make it a gradient? So I can say, I don't want just red. I want a white gradient. So now I've gotten my gradients. And also I can design a little fine button. You see here. Let's say for example, I have my button here. Okay. I'll simply make my color, let's use yellow for example. Okay. But I don't want it very flat because you can only tell this is a button. So now we make some more changes here and use effects. So now let's say drop shadow. Yeah. So now it looks like something very clickable, right? See, it looks clickable compared to we didn't have this. Let me do that for comparison. So you can see. So now remove. So now you can see the difference between both of them. A bit of something. I want it to have more shadow, whatever design I want it to be. I only have 5. I like it's even more obvious. Or make other changes to it. So basically, we can do, Figma allows us to do so many things like this. So when I'm done designing, if I want to check my whatever my finished work look like without this messy this thing, I can simply just come here and say preview. So I can see what it looks like, right? See what it looks like in a phone frame. It allows me to make changes. Nothing is too up, nothing is too down hedge. So basically everything and more we can do in Figma, and this is just a section of it. Now let's go back to our slide. So we have the 8-point grid system. So professional UI relies on spacing elements using multiples of 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, and so on and so on. Why 8? Because screen resolution. Hey, oh my God. I don't know what this is again. Okay, so can you hear me very well now? Can you hear me very well now? Is it still breaking? Okay, this is better now. Okay, so why 8? Because screen resolution generally scale by factors of 2. So using an 8-point grid ensures your margins, padding, spacing, alignments, icons, etc. Everything that's going to be on your screen or your frame is perfect on a retina display without blurring or rendering half pixels. So, Okay, so UI typography, I think we should go back to Figma for this so you can see exactly what it looks like. Skip so you can see what it looks like. So for our UI and typography, we know what typography is, right? Our font. I think we should go on that a bit more. So for our typography and hierarchy, not everything needs to be bold or black. Using slate gray for secondary text reduces cognitive load and directly focuses to primary actions. So we have primary and secondary actions, and let me do like a little display on that. So when you go to like an app, the first when you are designing an app, the first thing you want the users to do should be the most prominent thing on the screen. If I'm designing a website and I want the user, when they come to the website, the first thing I want them to do is to join the wait list, for example. I want to make sure that the button is center and prominence, that when they come to the website, the first thing they see is this button and whatever I want them to do. So escape. And so it comes to test as well. Whatever you want your user to see first is the primary, should be the primary thing. So let's say, for example, I'm designing an app that says this is headline like you're fine. This should be very bold because it's like the first thing I want whoever is coming to my app, to the website, whoever is coming to whatever I'm designing. This is the first action or the first thing I want them to see. So that should be the most prominent thing because it's at their eyes. So now we have like this is like let's say this is our primary for example. We have the secondary. This is secondary. We can simply just have our secondary small under our primary. So when somebody comes to this frame, the first thing they see is this is headline. Then after, they can now see this is secondary. Because the first thing I want them to see, or the first thing you want them to see when you are designing an app should be the most prominent. It could be a button, be an image, it could be anything. But the first thing you want them to see, or the first action you want them to take when they get to your app, your website, anything, should be the most common thing. It should be where they can find it, where they can see it, exactly where they can see it. For example, your banking apps. When you go to your banking app, the first actions you see there, you see transfer, withdraw, and you see your balance very clearly, and you see other actions you can perform. When I go to my bank app, the first thing I come to my is that transfer button, or airtime and every other thing. Because it's the first one. If I didn't have to go to a second screen to find them, when I come to the app, that's the first thing, almost the first thing I see. The first thing I see, maybe like the balance or the transfer or wherever your eyes go, but because they are the primary actions. When you go to a bank app, obviously you are there to either transfer, withdraw, get airtime, or pay bills. So those are the first actions you see on your screen. Very glaring. So those are the first actions they want you to perform, or they believe you are going to be performing. Or for example, when you go to a website, you see the hero page, they have that button very, very big. They have it at the center, and they have it at the top corner, at the right top corner. Because like wherever you are going to, wherever you reach first, it could be the navigation, it could be anywhere. The first thing they want you to see is that button, because they want you to click on that button. And we also have primary and secondary buttons. So let's say, for example, this is our secondary button. It is very bold. It is the first button I want you to see. Now we have our secondary button. In this case, we can remove the fill because it is secondary. It is an action you can perform later. Depends. So now we have stroke. So now this is our primary and this is our secondary. The primary is the first thing you see. The color is already drawing your eyes near. And then this one is just underneath the primary or somewhere else, because the secondary is an action they want you to perform, or they believe you'll be performing after. Depends. Okay, now let's do my coffee. Okay, so for scale, we use truth size constructs, e.g., a 32-pixel elder versus a 16-pixel body. So immediately tell the user what is the most important to read first, what is the most important action to take first. Also, the weight and color. Not everything needs to be bold or black. When you go to some pages or some app sign up, I'm sure we all see the login or sign up. Sign up is usually in bold button, and then sign in is in like the secondary, because basically they want you to sign up first. Then if you maybe at some point in time you've signed up, login is after, or maybe even some even have it like in slate gray underneath the sign up option. Oh, if you don't have an account yet, you can sign in, because it's a secondary. It is a secondary action. The first action they expect you to take, or they want you to take when you get to that page, is to sign up. But let's say, oh, you signed up, now you can now sign in. It is secondary, always underneath or in a very not so bold color. So now before we move on to module 2, please use the chat box to ask any questions. In everything we've discussed so far, is there any part that is confusing, you need more explanation, or just anything? Ask your question before we move on to module 2. So make use of the chat box quickly to ask your question. Is there any part in everything we've discussed so far that is I'm waiting for your question, and we have 5 minutes, so in case there is no question, so we can move on. Mm. I'm waiting for all your questions. By 7:50, we'll move forward, and I'll take that as no questions, and that you understand every single thing we've discussed so far. Enresa, can you tell me what exactly is not clear to you? Is it from the beginning, or were you lost? Did you lost you at? Did you lost you somewhere? Okay, so let me do like a quick summary of everything we've discussed, a brief recap. So, pencil perfect precision. So it simply means paying attention to the tiny details. Think your spacing, your alignment, your sizing, everything should be perfect. Thus the name Pixel Perfect Precision. Wherever your icon is should be intentional. Whatever you are doing, your spacing, everything, and you should make use of a lot of spacing. We don't want and have that everything looks like the designer wasn't looking straight at the design. It looks very jam-packed together. So making use of your spacing, alignments, margin, sizing, everything intentionally. So that's basically what Pixel Perfect precision is. And now we move on to Figma, which we've already spoken about, that it is, and have think how Microsoft Word is to document. When you think of PDF, the first that comes to your mind is Microsoft Slides or PowerPoint. When you think of Sheets, I want to work on something, you think of Excel or Google Sheets, whichever one you are more okay using. That's the same thing Figma is to design. When you think of design, the first thing that usually comes to people's mind is, Figma or Canva. Figma for product designers. The first thing that comes to their mind is Figma. So Figma is to design what Microsoft is to Microsoft Word or Google Docs is to PDFs. So Figma is a collaborative web application for interface design. It is where wireframes become real products. We said our wireframes are basically pen and paper, having an idea, I think I want the screen to be curved, I think I want the screen to be circle. So in this case now, we're not opening our Figma yet. We get a pen and paper, so we can record every idea at every stage. We can put it down there because we don't want to miss anything. There are like situations where I don't know if it's just me that actually goes through this, where I have this very great idea at this moment, and now I didn't put it down, I didn't jot it down, and in the next like 5 minutes, I don't remember nothing. I don't remember whatever the idea was. But all I know is that that was like very smart. But then I cannot, because I didn't write it down now, or I didn't jot it down. I didn't even try to like visualize it in my book. Now I can't exactly pinpoint what the idea was. Maybe if I see something that is very similar to it, I'm like, that was what the idea was about. So to avoid a situation like that, so when you get into like your design, when you're like, I think I want the screen to be curved, I want it to be this, so your pen and paper gives you like a form of creative freedom where you can just draw, cancel, draw, just to get like a visual just to get like a visual thing, right, of what you want it to look like. Then after doing everything, which is a wireframe, then you can now move to Figma. So when you're not going to Figma and staring at blank spaces, you already have like an idea of, I think I want it to be purple and green. I want the purple to be up here. I want the profile to be down here. I want the icons to be here because you've already visualized with your pen and paper. Now, when you move to Figma, what you want to do is bring that wireframe, is bring it and install it into real products, bring it to life. So I can simply go to your Figma, open get your frame, and start doing whatever you already said you were going to do with your pen and paper. So in Figma, we can do a lot of things. We can visualize, we can idealize. I think I should just show it for people that don't understand. So design is not the only thing we can do in Figma. We can do a whole lot more. Back to files. So when you come here, you can see a lot of other things you can do here. For example, this is SIGJAM. SIGJAM basically makes ideas to people. I can collaborate with, let's say, Elizabeth, for example. Now, I'll get Elizabeth, and we are both collaborating. Now, I'll say, oh, I think we'll use shapes to represent whatever we are doing, to get ideas and plan for whatever we'll be designing. So I can use, let's get our whiteboard here. So I can bring my this thing here and say, oh, the first, how do we want our screen flow should look like? Let's say I'm designing for like an app that requires authentication. That means user must sign up and sign in before they can actually access whatever is there. So our first step here is, let's say, sign up screen. So after the sign up screen, the next thing that I have to do, let's take, no. Let's use this one. Yes. So, or maybe in cases where they've already signed up, we want the next screen. Okay, let's just use one thing for this. Sign up or sign in. Then afterwards, the first thing we want them to see, let's say they are signing up, is an intro, that's like an introduction or maybe a customization screen. Or let's say, I don't know if anybody has used an app before where you get to pick your preferences. After you've already signed up, they ask you to pick maybe 3 things they're interested in, so they can personalize your experience. So they make sure whatever they're bringing to you is exactly what you want. In this case, we have apps that do that. Let's say like your X, Reddit, Tumblr. So let's go a cycle again. Let's use this thing here now. So we have our preference screen. So this will help us to like identify our step-by-step flow of how we want our screen to be like. I can scroll up, add another connector and say, oh, let's use triangle in this case. After the preference screen, the first thing we want them to see is maybe to promote collaboration, or let's say it's like a friendship app, for example. We want these people that are coming on this app to be able to make friends, okay, meet new people, or do anything. So now we have our, maybe add your profile picture for more visibility, or add your bio, so people that share the same interest as you can discover you, and you guys can both click things up. So this is basically what the Figma Jam is for. You can connect with someone in, let's say for example, someone in UK can connect with you that you are in Lagos and see whatever you are doing. You guys visualize together and decide, oh, I think the preference screen should come before the sign up. Oh no, I think it should come like this. I think it can come like this. And whenever you are done with this, you move back to, then you go back to your files. And now you want your design. Which I do open here. Okay. Now you go to your design. Now you already have an idea of how the screen is going to be. You already know that the first thing you have to design is your sign up screen. So you do that first. Then after you sign up, for those that are already signed up, existing users are returning. Now you have our sign-in screen. Then after those screens, the next thing we move to is the preference screen, where we ask them, oh, what do you want to see? Remember that returning users don't have to do that. In this case, only applies to new users. So I want them to just like personalize the experience for them. So that way you do all those ones here. Come here and say, oh, we need how many screens? Let's say for example, we have our frames. So when it comes to Figma, this is the icon for frame. We have our frame here. Because if you just scroll up and down and say, oh, since we are designing a mobile app, we should use maybe iPhone 14 Plus. Now we have our iPhone 14 Plus here. Let's say it is Android. It is not iPhone. Can simply come and say, oh, I want Android compact, Android medium, whatever you want. You can design it. So let's say, oh, it's not for mobile, it's for something more less like a website, for example. So I come here and look for something that is very big for a website. Let's say presentation, I do not very advisable, or desktop. So you can guess whatever you want. Let's say desktop. So we can go to desktop. So now we have an even bigger screen. So frame basically, like I've said earlier, guide our design alignments, because you cannot design something that is supposed to be for mobile and use desktop frame. It's not even making sense, because see how big it is compared to this one. So that's like a design error, because it doesn't work anyway. By the time you go to your preview to see how it looks like on mobile, now everything has shrunk. You can only see the button, because you made a wrong wrong frame choice. So that's why you find everything. It looks like your LinkedIn cover. When it comes to social media, you can find Instagram, Twitter post, Twitter header, Facebook post, Facebook cover, Instagram story, Dribble shots, LinkedIn cover. You can find any kind of frame you are looking for here. Any type of frame, depending on whatever you want to design. So what it does is it guides whatever you are designing. So you don't design what's supposed to be for LinkedIn cover. This is what LinkedIn cover looks like. This is what LinkedIn cover looks like. We don't design what's meant for LinkedIn cover and use desktop frame for it. That is the wrong design choice. So frames exist to guide our design decisions, to make sure that everything we are doing is exactly for whatever we are doing. So now we have more tools in Figma. We just explored frame. We have the shape tools. We have rectangle, we have line, we have arrow, we have ellipse, we have polygon, we have star, and we can also upload our videos, our pictures, whatever you want to put here, icon and illustrations, whatever you want to put here, just simply click on it and you open it here. Also, we have our drawing tools, pen and pencil, depending on whichever you want to use. So you can simply draw whatever you want to draw. So you can simply draw whatever you want to draw. You can make use of either the pencil tool or the pen tool. Then we have our text. When you want to write, we have, let's say, headline, for example. So this is maybe I don't like this font. We can simply scroll up and come here to typography. We can pick whatever font that we want. Let's, for example, I use Sora. I can say, I don't want it to be this tiny. I want it to be very bold. Or let's say, I don't want it to be this bold. I want it to be very, very tiny. Or no, I don't want it to be very tiny. I want it to be just a little bit light. So now I can use this. So then I say, I don't want to. I don't want it. We have our alignments here. I want it centralized. No. I want it at the top or at the bottom or at the side. These tools basically are here to help you to guide whatever you are designing. Whatever you are designing, changing color and every other thing. We have the comment tool. Like I said before, it helps you if you are collaborating with different people. Like I can share let's for example, I'm sharing my this board with Messi. Let me try it. 979 gmail.com. So now I'm saying Mercy can either view or edit, whichever one I want us to do. Or basically just say anyone that has the link or access to this should be able to edit, or maybe no, to provide more security, because what we are designing is something that shouldn't get, we don't want it to get out, to leak or anything. So now we're adding an extra layer of security, in this case password requirements. So I'll generate a password and I will only share it with whoever I'm sharing it with, whoever I want to have access to this. So you're saying, oh, Mercy can edit. So now whatever I've done here, she can simply come here and say she doesn't want the table to, she doesn't want the buttons to be here. So now she can do, because she has like the permission to edit, and bring it here because she feels it is better. Or maybe yellow is like not really a fine color and we have to think of every other thing. So now we're using pink. So now she can use the commenting to tell me, oh, hi, I changed the color because of this and that. She can, let's say we are not just 2 here, we are like over 20. We are over 20. So now she can simply tag whoever she wants to. So it makes sure that, oh, whoever is in charge of, let's say I'm in charge of designing buttons. So now she can tag me and say, oh, at Fesera, it is me there, or the screen, or whatever you want us to be able to change, or add image, or whatever. And that's it. And now she sends it. I get it on the other side of me, and I say, oh, Mercy changed it because of this and that. And I get it. If I don't agree with her point, I can simply respond and say, oh, that is great, but that reason is not enough. There is still a stronger reason why we need to add it there and not here. So now we can communicate here and collaborate to make sure that whatever we are doing, we are aligned and getting it right. And every decision we make here should be guided by everything by the user, basically. You are not the user, like we've earlier established. Your users are people that will be using this app. You are not the one that will use this app, at least. So whatever you are designing here, the reason why you are putting a button here instead of here should be because of one reason that tie back to the user. Maybe because your users are let's say your users are students that are always rushing. So when they get to an app, the first thing they want to do is like look down. Or maybe, okay, let's say you're designing for mobile phone. You know, your users are going to be on their phone. And the first thing, thumb rule, they go the button should be somewhere they can easily access by their thumb with their thumb very quickly. So yeah, in this case, the button should be here. So that's the decision that is actually guided by and tied to the user. So not just putting it here because you feel, I just feel like to be very fine here instead of here. No, you're not the user. It's not because of just fine. It is about it working and solving whatever problem we are designing it for. So now we are moving forward to our assets and plugins and widgets. This is where you find many and different resources. For the, when you've seen people use icons, 3D icons, whatever icons you want to use. Let's say, for example, I want to use, okay, let's use this one in this case. So I just search for icons. So let's say I just search for icons, and I can find many different icons for me, so I can use any of them. Let's use Icon Scout. So I just run. Let's wait for our disk to load. So we have premium icons, but we don't want the premium icons. So let's make use of this one. So we want insert PNG, big or small. We want it. So now this is our PNG. So this is it. We can make it extremely big or very small, depending on whatever we want to use. We can make it a black and white icon, depending on whatever you want to use. And even better now, and even edit with prompts. If you don't like, maybe you're designing and have that, it's just all the icon must be red. But then you can't find red caution sign. You can simply edit with prompt and say, change the color theme of this image to red. And it does it for you. It changes it to red. And I change it to red for you. Or ask you to remove the background. It doesn't have any background. So you can use the AI tool to make life even easier. So here we also have the developer section, which is here. So let's now, we've made every single design decisions. We've designed everything we need to design. Now I want to let the developer know that, oh, we are done designing and this screen is ready. We have a lot of screen here right now. So obviously, not all of them will be ready at the same time. Let's say I'm done with the sign up because it's like the first screen I designed. So now I am going to mark it developer ready with this sign here. So I am telling, so iPhone is ready for development. So I can use the Figma AI, if you have access to it, to get the code to bring whatever is on this design to life. Or simply wait for the development team to see this and then design, because they know that, oh, this is ready and they can start working on it. So basically that is what the design developer section is for. So I'm going back to our design section. So on this side, we have on the right side panel, we have different ones. When you click on the screen, give me a minute. I'm sorry, where's my phone? There's some more people in the pilot. Okay, I'm really sorry for the brief. I hope everyone can hear me still. So basically, we mark the developer ready. We can simply remove it if it is not ready. So yeah, remove status because it is not developer ready. So, and that's what we have on the right side panel here. You can simply let's remove the status for all this. So you can simply come here. You can simply click on a screen or whatever session is there. Let's say for the buttons, we want to edit the button. There are so many ways you can edit it. Maybe you want to change the alignment or the position. If I say, oh, I want the position to be 500. Sorry, 500. Nice. It's a way. So yeah, now this is where the position will be. So you can edit the position, or the rotation, even the dimensions, the opacity, corner radius. If I want it to be more, not just curve. I want it to have like a. Let me check. So now it's even looking like the typical buttons we see every day. So now this is where you increase the corner radius. Or maybe I want to reduce the opacity. For example, I want it to be at 65%. So here now it is now a bit not so clear. I say, oh, I want to change the color. In this case, fill. Maybe to something like blue. Exactly. So now this is it. Or maybe I just want to edit the whole screen. I want to edit the whole screen. I want to change the screen background to red. I want whatever I want to change. I can simply do that from here. So I want to edit the whole screen. And for the gradients, like I did in this case, so let's say it don't just be a bland wall of red or pink. Rather, you just come here, you pick whatever gradient you want. Let's say radial. We have linear, we have diamond, and we have angular. So I can say I don't want to just be red alone. Can we have like red and blue in gradient form? Okay, red and blue. Let's do the deep blue. Hey. So now, this is what we get. So now this is what we get. Depending on whatever you want it to look like, whatever you want it to be. So we have other ones here that you can also use. Depends on whatever you want to do or whatever you want to design. So that is not everything about. We also have our layout guide. Yes. So to help guide the 8 points we were talking about earlier, so when you are designing, to avoid so let's use this for example. I have something here. Okay, yeah, so now let's have our layout guide for here. So I want it to be in columns because columns is better. Let's say 8. Let me change this to white so you can see exactly what it looks like. Okay, so now this is what it looks like. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's change it to 4 for example. 5 columns, let's change it to 4. So my guides wherever I'm putting like the name auto layout guide. So instead of putting this here, because I think it should be fine, now this allows me to centralize this very well. No, oh, now this should be here, or this should be there, or that should be there. So it breaks your screen into sections. So whatever you are putting on the icons, or whatever you are putting on the screen is placed well. The alignment, spacing, everything is done well. So many other things. We have our stroke, which is how we got this. So if you visit a lot of websites or apps, you can say this is usually the primary button, which is always maybe let's say sign up for free or continue to the app or whatever they want to add there, whatever copy they want. And this is usually maybe Honda, which is request for demo or sign in, depending on whatever. And how did you get this stroke here? Simply come here, click your plus sign, and now we have black, and we are removing our fill. Now the both are now secondary colors and secondary buttons. Okay, so and that is everything and more for Figma. I hope Mercy OG I have been able to explain that, and for all of us as well, that we now understand Figma to a point. Due to time, we will not be taking any more questions. But in case there is still anything, any question you might have, you can simply put it in your book. So before at the end of the class, we'll have time to discuss it. Oh my God, come in. So please give me a minute. So now moving on to the next module 2, scalable design system. Because as a product designer, you have to design a lot of things. It means most apps, like, okay, for example, the sign up, let's say I design an app. So some things have to be very consistent. You think your color, that's why we have brand colors. If the login page of WhatsApp is blue and white, and then when you open the chat box, it is green green and white. Now it is not consistent. It is not cohesive. When I see green and for WhatsApp, for example, it's currently green and black. When I see green and black, the first thing that comes to mind is, oh, WhatsApp, because like that is their brand color, and it's consistent across every social, even their social media posts is white and green. It follows that specific color code. Same with whatever you are doing on WhatsApp actually has their color code, maybe as an accent or whatever. The color code will always be present. So now imagine opening an app where they have blue and pink as the login page and whatever, and then when you go into the main app, you are seeing blue and white. So I can't tell whether you'll be like, did I enter the wrong app or something? Because it is not consistent, and now I don't know whether I'm in a different app or not, and it's very confusing for you as the user. So basically, that's what having scalable design system entails. You have to design more things, color, font as well. If WhatsApp uses Playfair Display as their main distinct, and then I get into the app and I'm seeing Sato or Inter or Google Sans. Now it shows inconsistency in the design system. So fonts, your font style, your color code, everything you do, your alignments, wherever you put it, it must be consistent across different screens and pages. I want to open the 20th screen of your app and still be able to tell that, oh, it is still the same app. I don't want to open screen A and see green and blue Playfair Display font. Open screen 5, I'm seeing another color, another font. Open screen 20, by this time now there is not a very huge detachment, because I can't tell whether the first app I open is the same as the first screen I open is of the same app as the second screen I opened, or as the 20th screen I opened. So everything must be consistent, even up to advertisements and all of that. We all get this alert from advertisements, this thing from WhatsApp every time, and you can notice the color code never changes. It's usually just black and white, or black and green, or green and white. It never changes. You always find, even as accents, you always find it there, because that is what makes WhatsApp WhatsApp. When we go to Facebook, for example, we know Facebook is white and blue. So when you see white and blue, the first thing that comes to your mind is, oh, Facebook. When I go to Instagram, the same color, and it has its own color codes as well. So you will never mistake Instagram for WhatsApp. You will never mistake WhatsApp for X. You will never mistake X for Facebook, because they all have their own color codes, font style, alignments, app layout. They have different things that makes it, oh, this and that. So let's move to academic design methodology. Okay. Okay, so we have atoms, the basic indivisible building blocks. Think a color S code, a font style, or a single icon. We have molecules, which are groups of atoms bonded together to function. A search input combined with a search button. And we have organisms, which is a complex UI sessions made of molecules, an entire website navigation bar. So we have from the tiniest thing, which can be as color S code, a search button, and then we have our molecule, which is a group of these atoms bonded together. Think different different colors coming together, different font styles, different icons coming together. In this case, maybe your search inputs combined with a search button. Those are like different things. So you have to do a search inputs and then get your search icon. Then we also have complex UI sections that are made up of molecules. In this case, that can be your entire website, your mobile screen app, navigation bar, everything. Different atoms, different molecules that come together to make up an organism. So we have components and variants, which we're building on what I just spoke about regarding design system, building a scalable design system. This, as a photo designer, you will always have to design, I won't say an app, but something maybe more than once. So designing a whole app, there are so many screens you have to complete, from the sign up down to the sign in to the preference or whatever you want in your app, down to the home page, to the menu page, settings, profile. There's just a lot of screens for you to design. So I imagine having to like input whenever you have to design every and each of these screens. Imagine having to start putting it manually, font size, color, S code, 99, this, that. But now that is what design system components, variants, this is what they solve. Because now you have your master UI elements. So whenever you change the color of the master component, it instantly updates across all 50 screens in your file. So you design a lot of files. You've manually done that yourself. So you don't have a component. Now maybe in the middle of finishing the last screen, or maybe you're even done, then after doing your let's say your last survey or something, you realize that many people with eye issue can't really see whatever you design very well. Maybe because at some screen the fonts are not very okay, or maybe on other side the white background is not making it very accessible or clear for those with maybe eye issue or the rest. So now it means if you design, let's say 20 screens, you have to also manually sit down and start changing anywhere you see white, already the problem is, and now start changing it one by one. And that is very, very frustrating. And that is what components actually solves. So it's a master UI element. Whatever you change anything in the master component, it instantly updates across all 50 screens in your file. So if you change one thing in one component, whether you design 500 screens, it instantly changes. It updates across everything. They don't have to sit down and start saying, oh, so now I have to change from white to green, from white to green, from white to green. That is actually not possible. The variance allows you to group states. For example, a single button component can have variance defaults. Variance for default, over, disabled, and active states.
Well, not much my enemies.
No, not yet. Now we have auto layout. Dynamic resizing. Auto layout allows your design to behave like build code. Think CSS Flexbox. When you type a longer word inside the button automatically stretches while maintaining its exact pattern. Exact padding, and this helps you with your UX, your app responsiveness. Let's say, for example, you are designing a website that works on both mobile phone and, let's go back to our Figma. You are designing something that works on both mobile phone, which is this screen, and this screen. Now, when you look at it, obviously the designs are very different. The frame sizes are very, very different. So now that is where auto layout comes to help. If, let's say, for example, I come here and put
Can't be sad again. She seems like she's a nice guy. You know, I see on
Controversy.
She's the one that will become my father.
So let's say, for example, I have my auto layout on this workspace. It means whatever design I make, whenever I'm done designing this screen, and now you have to expand this screen. Maybe to fit MacBook hair, it simply just expand by itself, and everything stretches back to fit each other. So this now comes into to center and maintain all their distance. So you don't have to do it manually yourself. You don't have to start coming and be saying, oh, align center. Come here and say, oh, align center. Come here and say, oh, align vertical. Auto layout basically helps you and remove that stress from your neck. So basically, whenever you stretch or contract whatever you're designing, auto layout to make sure it's two sizes and fits. So whether your design is coming downwards or upwards, or you're just whatever you're doing, auto layout to make sure that is that it's helping you.
Go ahead, hold on. I'm going to feel very silly.
Okay, so now there. So again, our weekly quotes. Design is not just what it looks like and feels. Design is how it works. So it goes beyond beautiful screens or perfect UI. It's also more of how it works, which is US, how it works, what problem is it solving. So before we move on to the next this thing, in case anywhere in everything we've discussed so far in Module 2 is confusing, you don't get it, you want more explanation, you want us to go back and maybe do a brief of a recap, you can use the chat box to ask. Oh, yeah, we have 5 minutes for that. We have 5 minutes. If you have any question regarding everything we've discussed so far in Module 2, maybe you feel something, you want it to be more extensively explained, something is a bit confusing, you have a question you would love clarity on, whatever it is, you can ask now before we move on to the next screen. So yes, David, the class is being recorded and the recording should be shared with you after the class. So for Mercy, before I go into the explanation, so design methodology in simple terms basically is designing simple pieces, small pieces. Think of doing something in little bits and then combining them to form a huge screen. So instead of starting your design off with something very big with a huge screen, like let's say the website or something, starting from something as little as maybe the color, icons, a single icon, then form and joining them together to form a huge screen. I'm looking for what to use as an example for this. But just basically, instead of designing one huge screen, we build small pieces first. Then after we build these small pieces, we join them together to form the huge screen we would have designed first to make it easier for us. So single pieces could be something as small as a color S code, a font style, or a single icon. So we are familiar with Lego, right? Robots. So now when you are building your robots, you don't start with building, maybe you want to build a robot that can walk, or when it sees maybe the red mark, you want it to stop, when it sees yellow, you want it to walk, or whatever you want the robot to do. So you don't start with building the robots as it is. You start with smaller things first. Then you can build something as little as the tire, getting maybe even the battery or whatever you need for the robots. So it starts very little like that. Then you build it up to form those huge robots, and that follows whatever command you give it. So that's basically like a very simple explanation of atomic design methodology. So it's building the smaller ones first, so you can combine them together to form the bigger one. So there is no other question. We understand everything we've spoken about so far very well. And also the class is being recorded, and it will be shared with you after the class. Okay. So now we have our week 2 assignments. So this week 2 assignments requires us to build a mini UI kit. So we've shown us what Figma is. So you can either download the app or go to the website figma.com, sign up, create your account, and then create a foundational UI kit. This is what should be there in your foundational UI kit. Define 3 test styles like we've done H1, H2, body. Let me do like. So yeah, we have, let's say for example, this is our H1 button, then this is our body. So now let's get our H2. So now we have, this is headline. So we have, this is headline. So let's say it is as big as this, but it is not as big as the H1, and it is bigger than the body. So this is our H1, this is our H2. Let me have something here. So we can also say H1, we have our H2. It is smaller than H1, and it is very big, bigger than body. This is our body test. Oh no, that's our caption. So this is our body test. So this is, we've designed in this way. Now we've defined three fonts font style, which is H1, H2, and our body test. So it's something as simple as that. Then we have create a primary button with auto layout. So we've created a button before, so I'm sure a lot of us can do this. So use that button to assemble a clean, high fidelity login screen on an iPhone frame. So when designing, for example, when designing, let's say we want to design a login screen like we said before. Let's use the screen in this case.
We didn't have to travel much.
Okay, so now, what do we need for a login screen? We need a, hey, welcome back. Welcome back, yeah, whatever. Because we don't know their emails. So let's say we have our, hey, welcome back. Then we have how many buttons? What do we require from them? Let's say our test fields. So let's say we want their names and we want their names and and maybe their email. Yes, just the name and their email, or their email and password. Yes, their email and password. So I love using Stroke for this. So now we have their email. Giving this a lot of space. So now our password. Yeah. So now we have our password here, making sure that on the same line. Okay. Exactly. And then we have the ultimate button. So after they are done putting everything they need or everything I need them to be able to authenticate them that, oh, this is an existing user and now they can sign in, I'll have my button very little down here. So when they are done imputing all this, they can simply just click on the button and take them to the next page, which could either be a page for them to, oh, I send a code to your email, please confirm, or the app itself. Depends. So our button, but no, we are not using Stroke for our button. We're using Feed. So, okay, now to make our button even better, now I'm using. So that's it. And then our microcopy, in case, so what if these people, they're not signed in, so most of them don't have an account yet. Sign up. Now this is the audited, it's like a secondary thing. It can simply be very little underneath here, and we can even reduce the opacity. So let's just like 75. Yes, we want the sign up to be clickable. We want them to know that the sign up is clickable. And what's the best way to do that? Underline it so they know it is a link. So let's just do for it. Okay. And now we have our login screen, although there is still a lot to be done here. But yeah, so this is like an example of a mock-up of what your login screen can look like. But then for your high fidelity, simply. So now we have our login screen, and that's basically what the assignment requires you to do. Although you do it better than I actually did mine. So okay, let's check the next thing here. So create a primary button component. Okay, use that button to assemble a clean high fidelity login screen on an iPhone frame. So now this assignment requires you to design 3 screens. The first screen we have your different test styles, which you already did, your H1, your H2, and your body. Then the second screen we have a primary button component with a primary button component with auto layouts. To get your auto layouts, Control A. Then 3, use that button to assemble. The touch screen now is the one we just finished doing. So have a clean, high fidelity login screen. Whatever you can be, I mean, my one is email and password. If you want to design your own login screen, it could just be your maybe first name and last name. And that's it. Depends on whatever you need to authenticate a user on an iPhone frame. So now we have 3 screens, and that's basically what it is. So I'm sure a lot of us will be able to do this, right? Also, if you haven't done your report assignments, or if you have, or you don't know where to submit it to, make sure you do it alongside the second one and submit them all on or before 5 p.m. on Saturday. I hope everything is clear and we don't have any question regarding the assignments. You can take a screenshot, although the slides are going to be shared with you and the recordings will be shared as well. Can I explain the 2 again? Okay, so instead, let's just go back to our signals. So now we have, let's get another screen for this. Let's get another screen. Let's use iPhone 16 and 17 Pro Max. So we have our iPhone 16 and 17 Pro Max.
So what I'm saying is that such a big obstacle in the way. You know, you have to invite to the phone for it. Have any other way.
So for your auto layout, you can either say Ctrl A, or you come to the left to the right panel here and click this, and now we have our auto layout here. So whatever you put here, it will automatically resize it for you. Yes, Zuma, I am explaining number 2 in particular, which says place a primary button component with auto layout. Ensure 16 ps horizontal padding. Now we've turned on our auto layout. We want to make sure that's like the first thing we are doing. And then the next thing, we have to create a primary button. So we have our rectangle. I didn't have. No, I want it to be more bent. Hey. And 50. Depends on however you want it to be. It can also be rectangle or square shaped, however you want your buttons to be. Wait, so where did this one separate from here? No. Princess class teacher. Okay, okay, so now let me. Okay, so to turn on our auto layout, the first thing we want to do, you can either use Control A or turn it out or turn it on the other by the panel. Okay, please give me a minute. Okay, I'm sorry for the break. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is get our frame from the frame session. In this case, let's make use of iPhone Air. We're making use of 17 and 16. Let's make use of iPhone Air. So the first thing we want to do to get our test layer. If I make use of continue, get started, or like I did the other time. Hey, welcome back. So now we're somewhere here. And then to apply our auto layout, we have our Control A. Or you simply just come here if it doesn't do.
Make sure you do not stand in the person. I'm going to use that argument.
The original size.
No, all right, you're talking
Okay, so now we come here and turn on our auto layout. You can use whatever flow you want. These are like the different type of flow: the free form, the vertical, the horizontal, or the grid, whichever one you want to use. So let's make it a vertical grid. I said first for a one back. No, not yet. Okay, so now we'll set our padding. So let's say 16, like the assignment said. And now we have to create our button. The first thing we make use of our button is our rectangle, so we are able to create button. Make use of your color, corner radius, whatever you want. You can leave it as square as well. And if you want to add effects, maybe the inner shadow, layer blur, let's make use of drop shadow. To add more distance. So now what the auto layout basically does is make sure that the button is wrapped around our text. So let's say maybe in a different case, I want like a different distance. Where does this thing keep? Let's say I want to use like a different flow. We make use of the vertical flow in this case. We can make use of the flow, which is like the free form, which allows you to have more like just like more control over how it is arranged or whatever. Or you can just allow it arrange it for you either vertically or where is the game? Or you can make use of that one. You can make use of the grid one. Don't you want to make use of whatever settings you give it here, which is like the padding, the gap, and the grid determines what it comes out with. So if we are giving our horizontal padding of 16 pixels, so that's what we are doing. But there are pieces of this vertical one, which means this is usually how it will come out. Come back, and your button, depending on how big or small it is. And yeah, this is the touch screen, and this is the first one. And that is it. So the second week assignment is actually very simple. You are just building up on whatever you've done. So the number one builds a foundation for number 2, and number 2 creates a foundation for number 3. So you are basically building on whatever you know. So okay, so you got a UI chest because you now have you define your font style. Let's say for your heading 1, you make use of Inter. For heading 2, you make use of Play Fair Display because it doesn't have to be one form. We are defining our text style. So let's say for heading 1, in this case, you make use of Inter. For heading 2, you want something maybe like handwriting, make use of inspiration. And then for our third text style, we want something more light. So now we made use of Inter, but it's in a version of Inter. So now this is our tail style, which means that whatever we are designing, whatever app we are designing, it means that whatever app we are designing is going to be following this style we've already established. The primary button, the primary text, primary button will be making use of this font. The secondary, this one, and maybe the caption or the micro copy. So yes, just create one workspace for them. So like we have so many different frames in one workspace. We have different screen around in this workspace. So yeah, you open one project board like this and have everything there. So you can basically just share the email you share to will be sent to you. So you can just share it and we'll have access to it on our hand, which is one of the nice collaborative feature of Figma. Another thing we need to do is also create our primary button, which also allows us to get our auto layout button and also our color. Then we made use of red. It means wherever like we have like our primary button in the app or website, we make use of the color red. That's our own mini UI kit or component. Then the third one, use that button to assemble a clean high fidelity login screen because we've already established our font style and our primary button, the sizes with auto layouts, and also we've decided on the color. It is easier to do these three. It's easier to do the third one because now I just have to bring everything you worked on in 1 and 2 together to create an high fidelity login screen on an iPhone frame. So that's basically it, and I think we are basically done. It's 9 p.m. already, and that really concludes today's session. So in case the recordings we shared, I've said that a lot, and if the slides will be shared as well. In case you have maybe anywhere doing like when you are in the process of doing your assignments, maybe anywhere you are stuck, you can simply talk to any admin in the groups you are in, and they'll be more than happy to help you. Since in the absence of no questions from all of us, I'm taking it as we all understood everything that has been taught so far from week 1 down to week 2, and we can design a login screen or even any screen for that matter on Figma. Yeah, I don't know. Those like you can you know how to like open your Figma, right? You can just go to figma.com. I know how to open your project board, right? Okay, so that's basically it. And with this, we come to the end of today's session. Thank you for joining, and I can't wait. Yeah, the recording will be released tomorrow, hopefully. We'll try as much as possible to release it tomorrow. So that's it. We've concluded the section. Thank you so much for joining. We can exit the call now.